it's a great opportunity to make use of a drive. So yesterday I had a consultation with an expert in the field of neurodiversity, and a lot of people that end up in therapy present with aspects of autism spectrum disorder and absolutely with neurodiversity. So I thought I'd make a quick video just chatting informally around autism spectrum disorder and neurodiversity. So neurodiversity is an umbrella term for a set of behaviors, traits, and worldviews that creates a sense of confusion oftentimes with regards to where do I fit in this world, why am I so different, why are the other half of the population, which is pretty much what it is, 50-50, responding to me in a way that's creating confusion for me. And how does this relate to autism spectrum disorder? So firstly, when we think of autism, generally what we think about is children who are struggling in quite extreme ways, but that is not actually what the autism spectrum represents. At one end, yes, it does, where there are very distinct neurological deficiencies and very distinctive behaviors that are easily identifiable. At the other end of the spectrum, what was traditionally called Asperger's, which is no longer a term that is used, is a personality that manifests in ways that other people would deem maybe a bit eccentric or quite unique, and they qualify with two sets of behaviors, right, which is what puts them on autism spectrum. So autism spectrum is one of the arms of neurodiversity. ADHD, for example, is another. Issues in social communication or social adjustment disorders, these all fall under neurodiversity, and they can be very difficult to spot, but especially in young kids, and I'm talking anything below the age of 18. Once given the tools and the insights, tremendous strides can be made to bridge that gap for them in terms of feeling so different, feeling so misunderstood, essentially. Even in the Bible it says, know thyself, and there is a reason for that. Once we have insights into ourselves, it gives us a tremendous amount of self-confidence. So I really want to draw attention to parents to equip themselves with knowledge such that kids who present as neurodiverse can really find their place of belonging and sense of self-worth. There are tools to navigate for both parents and children. Lots of information, some of which I'll share in another video. So autism spectrum disorder, the two sets of qualifying behaviors or traits. One would be social communication issues. So what ends up happening is due to the different neurological wiring, sometimes these people can present as blunt, they can present as a bit disordered in their thinking, they can present as having difficulties in being understood and in having people understand them. So that is one of the defining features, and that results from like I said, a different neurological wiring, where there is also a a veil or a breakdown, if I can call it that, in being able to sense and intuit the fine subtleties of non-verbal communication. So you'll miss a lot of social cues and therefore won't respond appropriately in certain situations, which makes other people think that you're being rude or presumptuous, or you've completely got the wrong end of the stick, right? And the second part is repetitive behavior. So for example, they call it stimming, so like constantly playing with something over and over, like a ball, needing to touch your hair all the time or put your hair in your mouth, tapping your feet. But also included in this is repetitive thinking or rumination. So that aspect of repetitive behaviors is not only what you see physically, but what can be going on in someone's mind, which is not visible to you. So those are the two aspects of it. And what generally, and then a third feature, which is really more often than not present, is extremes of emotions. And these extremes of emotions come around from having an over active and enlarged amygdala, which is the center of our animal fight, flight, fawn or freeze behavior. So where you have somebody who's really afraid of getting into trouble, who is hyper concerned about what other people think of them, where they may be freeze in certain social circumstances, they have like a cognitive overwhelm, or run away from conflict and or challenging social circumstances. In fact, it's been shown, and this consultant explained this to me yesterday, that what they've done in babies who then manifest to or are shown to be on the autism spectrum have at birth even these enlarged amygdalas. So what that does is it dampens the prefrontal cortex, so one is on and the other is off. And your prefrontal cortex is the frontal part of your lobe, which is concerned with reasoning, logic, and essentially emotional self-control. So there's extremes of emotions are both genetic, biological, and also exacerbated then by this feeling of there's something wrong with me. People are judging me, people don't understand me, I'm different, I'm difficult, I'm too weird, and a feeling of isolation and judgment creates a lot of anger and frustration. So those two things compound to manifest in these extremes of emotions. So essentially that is autism spectrum in a nutshell, and falling under the branch of neurodiversity. So I hope that was informative, and really do want to reach out to parents whose kids have this a sense of otherness about them, because what you really want to do is just normalize the experience for them, and for them to really learn to appreciate these aspects of uniqueness about them. And once that's done, a very powerful, creative, insightful thinker can be unleashed into the world. Thanks for listening.